Hey, Enoch here, and I have two quick announcements for you before we jump into today's show. I recorded a new intro with a new music and everything, whole new shebang. Let me know what you think, and the way you're going to let me know is because I'm going to give you an invite right now to join the Business of Architecture podcast Facebook group. That's right. I'm setting up a special Facebook group specifically for podcast listeners. I will not be advertising this on my blog, on the email list, or anywhere, so you can rest assured that if you're in that group, you will only find other people who are podcast listeners in there. That's going to be the place where I'm going to be giving out special resources, prizes, lots of really cool stuff. But the first thing I want to know, go over there, join that group, and let me know, what do you think of the new intro? Does it throw you off? Do you hate it? Do you love it? Is it cool? The last intro, it just didn't feel like it had enough energy to me, so that's why I mix it up. To find the group in Facebook, do a search for Business of Architecture Podcast. Make sure that you join the podcast group and not the Business of Architecture page. Now, without further ado, let's jump into today's show.
So we really think as architects, there's an advantage that we can inject into the market, and I don't think that market has seen that injection of really specific skill sets that architects can offer yet.
Episode 164.
This is The Business of Architecture.
Hello, I'm Enoch Sears, and this is The Business of Architecture. This is the podcast for architects, where you'll discover tips, strategies, and secrets for running a profitable and impactful architecture practice. Now, let's get down to business. Today, you will have the amazing opportunity to hear from Brian Johnson, Nick Pancho, and Jeff Canning. They're the powerhouses behind the team at Arch406, which is an architect-led design build firm. You're going to hear all about it in today's episode. In addition, they also have a design firm, architecture firm, Collaborative Design Architects. So I'm sure you're going to have tons of wonderful takeaways from this if you've ever been thinking about different business models for architecture, how you can design, develop, and build your own projects. Listen to it, hear it here from a couple of guys, a few guys, three in fact, that are going down this road and doing it themselves. So what kind of stuff are you guys working on?
Well, right now we're really starting to kind of delve into the chasm of tiny houses and micro houses with Arch406. We recently signed a contract for a tiny house to be built in the eastern part of Montana for a client that we've known for a while. So we're working on that right now. We've also just under negotiation to do our first micro restaurant. It'll be basically a food truck. So we've got a couple pretty interesting things right now going with Arch406. So.
We did a year ago. We did a series of 10 mobile coffee shops. So we're kind of excited to expand on that concept that we kind of work through on those and see what it turns into when we actually, if we can maybe leverage some of that experience we've got in design and construction on those in a tiny home.
And it fits with what Arch406 is. We're kind of a niche contractor. We're not going to take down the big guys and skyscrapers, nor necessarily, run at the same pace as a home builder or somebody. But we like to do the stuff that's kind of high design, high touch, needs, a little more thoughtful design and construction pulled together in order to accomplish some of these things. So, yeah, this is pretty exciting stuff.
Well, generally, I would think that food truck owners or people that are looking for mobile food establishments, they wouldn't necessarily, I don't think, but I'm ignorant in terms of this particular niche. I mean, I wouldn't think they'd go to a design build firm or an architecture firm. My experience with these people are like do-it-yourselfers. The reason they're doing a truck is because they want to save money. Tell me about that, you guys. What's the deal with that?
Well, I think that people are understanding a little bit more about what architects can provide in terms of space planning and services, and that, yeah, you definitely can build your own. That's totally all well and good. I always say, you can cut your own hair too, but would you do it yourself if you knew it was going to last for 50 years? If you're So it's a market that we're just kind of starting to get into, and it's kind of a tricky play just because of that. A lot of these tiny house, shows you're seeing on TV, people are doing it themselves. So I think that the way we're approaching it right now is we want to get a couple under our belt just to really understand, the process of putting something at that more micro scale together. We feel it can be done pretty easily, but I'm sure there are caveats that we're going to realize, oh, yeah, I guess you have to do this with this. And the self-containing, the plumbing system, it's not as simple as hooking it up to the city and being done. We've got to contain that. We've got to understand how much water and those kind of things. So I think that when people get into understanding what it takes to put a tiny house together, I think they're going to see the value of hiring a firm to do that. And because there aren't any in Montana that are doing that right now, Montana's always a little slower to kind of catch up with what is happening in other parts of the country, just because our population is so much smaller and we have so much land that I think we're just a little bit slower maybe to catch up on more metropolitan areas. So I think that if we can get in this, we'll be one of maybe 2 or 3 companies in the entire state that is doing these micro houses or tiny homes.
One of the things that we're really excited about as Arch406 is we of course are all licensed architects. We're all general contractors as well. So we kind of walk both these lines. We do small construction projects for existing architecture clients. We'll take on custom designed furniture projects for either projects that we're designing through our sister company, Collaborative Design Architects, or projects that come in through Arch406. And then looking at tiny homes is another way. Ultimately, we would love to get to a point where, as architects, we can have our vision as the designer, the project designer, carried out all the way through construction, and we can be in control of that process from start to finish. So we're really looking at ways that we can build a sustainable business model between now and that future date of providing something that looks more like a product rather than something that's just a service-based industry or a product delivery-based industry. So in looking at tiny homes, we're trying to evaluate, can we approach an architect as developer model through a smaller module, and is the tiny home the correct module to look at doing that within? And then within that, can we make this thing start to act more like a product rather than just a service?
Well, tell me how the conversations are going regarding that. I mean, there's probably a lot of meat there. How is that conversation happening internally in terms of your conclusions with regard to that, or the direction you think that it's going right now based upon what you know?
Well, I think that the first thing we're doing is we're doing our homework. We actually have signed up to go to a seminar on tiny houses. I mean, I'm not going to, just because we're architects doesn't mean we know everything about building. We're going to train ourselves and make sure that, we're going to see how other people do it. So there's a seminar that we've signed up for, which is what we've used a portion of our Entree Architect and the Shred Venture Group's, the competition that we just won. We're going to use part of our money to invest in our education and training. We're going to go learn and how these tiny houses are put together. So that's the first step that we're doing. We've signed one contract for a tiny house, but we've kind of put the start date back, so it was falling behind this seminar, because we want to make sure that when we develop something for a client, we're doing it to the best of our ability, meaning we've been educated, we've gone to a seminar, we've gone to some classes, we've done our research and our homework to see. So this seminar, we actually go to a factory and see how they do it in another successful company in the United States. So right now, I mean, that's kind of how we're tackling it.
Yeah, and we're taking small bites in terms of the production of pieces that approach this product-driven model in some of the furniture projects that we're taking on. We just completed a furniture design contract where we designed and built a 12-foot long by 4-foot wide conference table of our own design. And then we also built 4 kind of matching office desks that go along with that, as well as kind of provided the rest of the services that go along with providing kind of the interiors component of a project. So we're really trying to dial in. We've got, as architects, you develop great relationships with subcontractors in your market area, and we're really developing those relationships with subcontractors. We have a fantastic steel guy that does really great steel fabrication work. He helped us with both of those, the desk and the conference table projects, and he also builds trailers. So, as we look at a tiny home, something that's on a trailer, is there a possibility that we can, gain an advantage in the market by having our guy build our custom designed trailer for our tiny homes and really make it specific to the purpose rather than just doing the homeowner version, which would be buy a flatbed, put a house on it. So we really think as architects, there's an advantage that we can inject into the market, and I don't think that market has seen that injection of really specific skill sets that architects can offer yet.
These first two projects that we're doing right now, Nick, we're giving our design services away for free. So what we've done is we brought the clients in and said, here's the deal. You're interested in possibly doing something like this. I'm interested in getting a portfolio for our firm. We're going to design these for you 100% free of charge. We'll take care of all the engineering. We'll take care of all the architectural design. By the time you've got 100 or 150, 200 hours into this thing, it's about a $15,000, $10 to $15,000 bill, we'll say. And I'm willing to donate that to the project for the experience of being able to have this in our portfolio.
For the education.
For the education, right? You're my guinea pig. I've been doing this for 20 years. You're going to get a great product out of the deal. The deal on this is I will design it in terms of the programmatic functions of how you want it done, but we get final say on the exterior and how it looks. So it's a little bit of, it's a kind of a give and take, and they're so excited that, the potential of having a licensed architect do something for them basically for nothing. That, it's a win. We've set it up as a win-win situation. So, and that's going to help us better understand the business model. We think we have a pretty good idea of what it's going to take to build these things and how much it's going to cost, the number of hours, the parts and pieces and materials. But this is going to give us, it's kind of put our money where our mouth is, I guess, if you will. Make sure that we can get it all done for the price that we say.
Okay, let's run through this step by step. So first of all, where's your cash flow? Where's your current cash flow coming from?
Our current cash flow right now, we've got about 3 projects in the pipeline right now that we're currently working on. We're wrapping up a major patio project here in Billings. It's it's Nick's project. It's a patio and deck project we've done for a client. It's an addition kind of to the front of their house, concrete steps, steel trellising.
Block and landscape forms and a little bit of interior work, a couple windows and things too. So it's been a good project for us and kind of a good learning experience, but felt a great relationship with these people. We've been working on this for a year and a half or something. And
right. We're both the architect and the builder for that project. So we had a design fee portion up front and then rolled our CA services into our construction contract. So we're almost wrapped up with that project. We just completed this furniture contract for one of our existing architecture clients where we provided a furniture package for their new building. I believe we just we finished a small design project for a residential addition. And then we have kind of the filler pieces that are, I think, inevitable in building a sustainable model where we have a siding project or a window replacement project that are kind of always going on in the background. We have
we're currently bidding a concessions pavilion for the Little League right now. We designed that project and we're providing construction services. So all of our design time on that project was donated, and for the Little League, and now we're providing services, but that won't be free of charge. So those kind of things are right now what's in our pipeline. We currently have one person that we employ and take care of, and he's our job superintendent. So we don't have a lot of mouths to feed on the project right now. The cash flow is looking pretty good. I mean, it could be a little bit. We could have a little bit larger projects, I guess you could say. We're finding that. We went into this with Arch406. We went into it with the ideal that we were always going to do cool stuff and be real selective with our projects. What gets scary is when you hire somebody and you have somebody to pay that's dependent on the salary. Then you start taking on siding projects and window replacement, which really wasn't what we got into the business for. But I mean, we're finding that it's just part of what we have to do to kind of, while somebody's waiting to approve a price or a bid or a project bid to come in, you know, we have to do some of these other things in the interim that pay immediately.
As a startup, I mean, it's fine because,
Yeah.
I mean, if we get to more product-based like we want to be with our shop space, I mean, if we can start building tiny homes in our shop, because it's big enough to build them in there and pull them right out the door, then if we can keep a couple of those going at a time. But so things are developing. It's just, you know, we have no pretense that we're going to be hugely successful in 9 months. I mean, we realize it's a 3 to 5 year window to build up a reputation and a following and the product line that we want to have. And so, you know, today, no complaints.
Tell me the companies that you have right now. There's there's Collaborative Design Architects, and there's Arch406.
Yep, that's correct. And then we're starting to develop, if the tiny home company takes off, that'll be under a new umbrella.
Okay.
And so we're in the process of naming that right now and developing graphics and things for that. So more to come on that. But right now, Collaborative Design Architects and Arch406 are the two main companies that we have. And Nick and I, we do a lot more with Arch406. Jeff, we bring him stuff, but he's in charge of Collaborative. So I'm managing partner of Arch406. He's managing partner of Collaborative. And so we just really play off each other well. So he can focus on Collaborative and give me insight on Arch406 and Nick. So Nick and I, we bring in ideas, and he says, yeah, I think that's a good idea. And we move forward with it. And, you know, so it's a great relationship. It's nice
And
to have
how
that.
long have you guys been in business together? What's the timeline here?
Jeff and I have been together on and on since 2008 as partners.
I mean, but for this venture, for the venture we're talking about right now.
About a year.
Year and a half.
Yeah, 18 months.
18 months.
18 months? Okay. So, all right. So tell me, are you guys taking a salary right now?
No.
Not a salary, but we have taken a draw out of the company.
So the way we're paid is we take draws out from the company at times that are best for the company. We try to take 2 draws a year, once in July and once in December is kind of the time frame that we look at.
Okay.
Last year our I don't have the numbers in front of me, we should probably have that. Our sales, our gross was
$650 or
$650,000.
600,000. And we pulled out $50,000 for ourselves out of it, basically. That we shared.
So you guys basically, so last year, between you three, let's say you guys pulled out about 150, and the rest of that money, where did it go?
Oh, it wasn't 150, it was only 50.
It was $50,000 between the three of us.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was only about $15,000 to $20,000 a piece.
Okay.
Is where we're.
So yeah, a lot of it is obviously our cost of doing business, you know, materials, labor, subs. And so the money that we pulled off was part of the profits from all of that. And then we retained some money in the company so that we could carry our employee and do some other stuff.
Right.
And so we actually broke it down project by project and have a year-end summary. And then we felt comfortable taking $50,000 out of there without hamstringing the company to continue to ride the highs and lows and stuff of a startup. So actually, that's not bad for a first year. I mean, we make money.
No, yeah, that's not bad at all. Absolutely. And
we took just so you know, we took less than half out for ourselves and left more like 60% of the profit in the business, just because it was our first year, and we definitely didn't want to, like Jeff was saying, hamstring the company to pad our pockets.
Yep.
Right. I think it's also important to note that, you know, we all work, you know, essentially full time with Collaborative Design Architects, so which is our sister company, and that is our primary source of income from the architecture side of things. So in this interim period, we're the hours that we are spending towards Arch406 as a startup to get our foot in the door in this design build realm are essentially in addition to our commitment that we already have as partners of Collaborative Design Architects.
And I guess that responds to my next question where I was going with this is, how are you guys funding it? Because obviously 15 grand is not enough to pay your nut.
Right.
Of course, true. No, but again, it's a long view of what we're trying to do and accomplish. And fortunately, we have a great day job here. Collaborative's busy. There's 10 of us. We got all kinds of work going. And so as we presented in our business plan model, we hope to shift, especially for these two guys, to ultimately draw salaries from both companies. And so from the collaborative side of it, we have a job posting now. We're looking to hire people now because we've got enough work to begin this transition of bringing people in to train them so that I can replace these two guys as their duties start splitting more half and half as that company builds up. But yeah, we have the benefit of a company that underwrites our salary, pays for this room that we're sitting in, and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, but since we own both companies, we can do that. So.
Yep. All right. So yeah, let me break this down for our listeners, because I know they're going to have the same question that I have. So you guys have an established architecture firm, Collaborative Design Architects. That firm is profitable, and that firm pays you a salary, all of you. Correct. Or you take draws from that company. Okay. You guys have decided to do another venture and getting into these other business models. We just talked about eventually getting into the tiny home movement, and then you've already established Arch406 as a separate company, which is a business venture, which in its first year did pretty good. It did $650. You guys were able to pull a little bit of money out, and you're looking forward to another year. So does that kind of encapsulate the financial scenario there?
That's correct.
Yeah, correct.
Very cool.
And we hope that Arch406 continues to make money this year so that we can, again, pull some money out. But really, we're more interested in reinvesting for the long run of Arch406 and making it really viable to go. And again, Nick kind of alluded to it. At Collaborative Design, we sell time. At Arch406, we're going to sell a product, a thing, a tangible thing you can touch.
Right. And we made the conscious decision to separate the two, which I think it's a conversation that's overlooked a lot of times in terms of, an architect just wants to, well, I designed it, now I can just build it, and then you go to build it, and your insurance company for your architecture firm says, whoa, that's not what you're insured to do. So we made a very conscious effort to say, if we're going to look at doing design build work, we need to set up a company that is set up to do construction work. So Arch406 is now set up in a way that allows us to carry out construction projects, and it gives us the added benefit of creating two different brands that are each targeted differently. So Collaborative Design Architects is a firm that's been in our market area for 35, 36 years, doing every project type from residential to some medical office work to educational buildings, schools, collegiate work, parking garages,
Fire stations,
kind of you name it. We're in Montana. It's a little more difficult to be in a really specific market niche, and that company has its own brand and its own way of marketing and its own approach to the market. Arch406 wants to say, I think there's other areas of the market that Collaborative is not touching or engaged in that we want to be involved in, and it allows us to market that company to those areas in a really specific way.
What's the business structure of those two entities? Are we talking LLCs? Are we talking S corps?
They're limited liability.
You know?
Yeah, Arch406 is an LLC. Collaborative Design is a C corp.
Okay.
It was set up that way years and years ago. We've never changed it. Benefits at the time, it could have been changed, but at this point, it works.
Yeah, well, I'm just curious to let our listeners know, because a lot of times that's one of the questions on their mind is, you guys did some thought into that. And then in terms of that LCC, who are the partners of that LCC? Are those entities, or are they directly right here, Nick and Brian?
It's the three of us, and we've got an operating agreement between the three of us that kind of outlines the company assigning risk and reward for the whole thing. And basically, it's straightforward. It's thirds.
Yep, 33 and a third for each of us.
Okay.
A third,
gotcha.
a third, a third.
Gotcha.
And although we all have different roles in different projects, and some of us are more involved one than the other, but at the end of the day, it all goes into a pot. And we realize different days, some of them are going to pour more into it than the other guy, but right now, that's the easy way of taking care of it.
So tell me about the business model looking forward, just in terms of these these tiny houses? Because obviously you totally addressed questions about scaling this business, kind of going through the startup phase. Walk me through how your current thinking about the business model.
Well, I think that I personally am, and I think that you'll find this with a lot of architects, is that Jonathan Siegel, he really speaks to a lot of us, right? I've taken his seminar online, the Architect as Developer series. The three of us all did that. We all went through the Architect as Developer series. In addition, I've been to 3 additional seminars that he's put on, talks and conferences. And that was really where the idea of Arch406 started. Could we do something like that here in Billings? Well, it's a great idea, and obviously he really understands his market. But Billings, Montana, and San Diego, California are 2 completely different places, is what we found out. The numbers that he talks about are, they kind of make you pucker. It's just like, holy cow, that much money. I admire the guy, but oh my gosh, the stress he's got to have with going to bed at night and tossing and turning. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just at some point he might just become numb. He's pretty confident, and that's good. But we don't have, what we found is we'd love to develop our own properties. That's what we'd really like to do. Unfortunately, in Montana, we don't have our lease rates. You basically take a 0 or possibly even 2 zeros off of the lease rates that we can offer our client. He's in the thousands of dollars per a square foot for lease rates, or hundreds of dollars per square foot for lease rates. And we're in like the $18 to $25 a square foot for lease rates per year. So it's really hard to apply his business model to our area. And so we're trying to figure out, how can we take the general philosophy of what he does and what he's done down there and utilize that in Billings, Montana. And so the tiny houses was one idea that kind of came up. We also have purchased 2 lots. They're kind of I call them the misfit lots. They're the lots nobody really wants. And we've designed 2 homes for those lots that we can build on specification, or speculation. Gosh, I keep on saying speculation. Spec houses. We can build homes on speculation, or what we've done is we can put signs up on those lots with a design already on that, and kind of like for sale, 3,000 square foot home, fully furnished. We have videos that you can scan barcodes with your phone on the sign, and you can see what the vision for that property is, and people can purchase the whole package through Arch406. So those are some investments we've made in terms of the development side of things in Billings that we've started testing the market with. But that's kind of where we're going right now, or where we're seeing it.
One of my primary reasons for getting into this was for development projects, and find a piece of property and then design and build an income-producing housing unit or something. Actually, that tiny home fits into this pretty well now, because now we can create these projects in our shop, take them out there, and just place them on properties and stuff. So it actually, for what I'm trying to do, this is a nice option for actually moving that part of our business forward. Ultimately our goal is we want to design and build cool stuff and make some money, but along with that we want to use that to create some income producing properties. And so if we have income coming in every month from these other properties, that'll help us ride out the highs and lows of our work, so we can really pick and choose really creative projects, because we will have a cash flow coming in. Because at the end of the day, we're all doing this because of design. We want to design and build cool stuff and be able to pick and choose and get that done. There's enough beige and beigeification of everything out there. We're not going there.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, look, let's go backwards just a little bit, Brian, to what you were saying, just in terms of that model that Jonathan Siegel talks about, because I want to unpack that for our listeners, right? And
Sure.
That's a conversation we had in the hallway there at the AI convention over in Philadelphia, talking about the land cost in San Diego versus land cost in Montana, the building costs in San Diego versus building cost in Montana, and then, like you mentioned, the lease rates in both of those locations. So it felt like we could go a little bit more into detail about that conversation. Could you explain that to me right now, just why it makes it difficult to do what Jonathan does in...
Yeah, I can put it very simply, because I mean, I have extra training in development, and I'm a certified design development professional and other stuff, so I'm the guy that digs into a lot of the numbers. And so we had Jonathan come here to Billings for a conference, so we had the opportunity, the three of us, to sit down at lunch with him and talk through some stuff in depth. And so when I started talking to him about cost of stuff, buying and building, and like how much you pay for flat work, concrete, we found out the numbers were similar. But the big disconnect is, okay, our development costs are similar, even though we got to insulate stuff because we have winter and he doesn't. But that's not, they were pretty much on par. But the difference is like Brian said, residential properties, it's literally, it goes by a monthly rent. And here we get about $1 a foot a month. So if I build an 800 square foot unit, I can charge $800 for it. And he was flabbergasted because he doesn't get $1 a foot. He gets $10 or $12 a foot. So it's not in the cost, it's what the market's willing to pay. And the lease rates and market rates around here, you can't rent a 800 square foot 2-bedroom place for $2,000 a month because nobody will pay it.
Right.
That's the big difference.
I think that, I'd get out of there and I'd talk to some of the younger architects after some of these seminars, especially the one in Philadelphia, and everybody's just like, oh, I'm going to go do this. This is what I'm going to go do. And I was there. I was in the same boat. It's like, I'm trying to teach people that you're right. This is no down on Jonathan. The guy is flipping amazing, and he's still my hero.
He's a good designer.
He's a really good designer, and he has every admirable quality that you want. But his business model works in San Diego, and he understands his market better than anyone I've ever met. I mean, he really gets his market. That model can't simply be taken and placed in any city in the United States and work the same. You got to do your research. You got to do market analysis. And that is super important before you decide to go out and say, I'm going to be the next Jonathan Siegel in Fort Lauderdale or Boston or Billings, Montana or Seattle. The business model may be different. The land prices may be different. The cost for construction may be different. What we find here in Billings is land is inexpensive, and our density is not the same as it is in a metropolitan area like New York or like San Diego. We have vast areas of land available for people to purchase and build, and it's not expensive pieces of land. But the costs for construction are on par or more in our area of the United States as they are in more metropolitan areas. Simple supply and demand. When the demand for construction is high and the supply of your workforce is low, the price escalates. You don't have as many people to do the number of jobs that are available, so people are willing to pay more money for workers to show up to their site. So we have relatively high construction costs here in Billings, or they're on par with major metropolitan areas. And so people don't want to purchase, or it's harder to make money sometimes developing because people just aren't willing to pay the real premiums for custom design costs.
And that is a wrap. Thank you for listening today. If you're looking for more time, freedom, impact, and income as an architect, get instant access to my free 4-part architect profit map by visiting freearchitectgift.com. The sponsor for today's show is Arch406, the client relationship management tool built specifically for architects. If you want to systematize your marketing and business development, Arch406 will help you do it. Visit arch406.com to learn more. The views expressed on this show by my guests do not represent those of the host, and I make no representation, promise, guarantee, pledge, warranty, contract, bond, or commitment except to help you conquer the world.